Thank you so much. I'm Liz Wilke. I am Gusto's principal economist, and I will tell you that before we negotiate your mortgage rate deduction, I accept NFTs and suitcases of unmarked non-sequential bills. Thank you so much. But I'm really happy to be with you here today. I'm going to talk about the economy because, one, it is nuts out there, and two, your clients are expecting you to have an opinion about it now. I'm going to talk about the overview of the economy and what that means for your clients and give you some takeaways to incorporate into your advisory practice to make you more valuable to your clients. And I'm actually really excited that this is not a one-off. This is the first of a quarterly series that Gusto is rolling out, that is the Gustonomics team is going to own. And yes, we really call it the Gustonomics team, to bring you regular economic intelligence and analysis with key takeaways and so what's for your clients. So you'll be hearing more from us as we roll that out. And I am just so excited to learn more about all of you because you're such rock stars and you're so important to small and medium-sized businesses that we serve. So, there we go. All right, so why? What is at the intersection of economics and advisory? So if analytics and the employee story are the walls of that people advisory house that many of you are familiar with, looking at that big economic picture is going to put context around that house. It is going to tell you about the neighborhood that that house is in and the weather forecast. And it's going to tell you if you're in this neighborhood or this one, right? Which is going to put all of that advisory in context and help them to understand not just their business, but where it is today. The Big Four and other large companies employ teams of economists like me and like Luke and like the other folks on our team to keep track of the economy. That is because, as Luke's research shows, and as you're hearing more and more about now, clients want accountants to be those strategic business partners, and they are willing to pay more for it. But most likely, not many of you have an economist on staff, at least one not trained to sort of do this full time. But Gusto does, as Greg has mentioned a couple of times. That's us. And that's what we're bringing to you here, and that's what we'll be bringing to you more in the coming quarters. All right, so let's dive in. In the economy, there are so many indicators floating around. Inflation numbers, stock market, jobs numbers, interest rates, it's on and on and on. It is a lot. So I'm going to simplify for the sake of time and brevity, and I'm going to focus on two big questions that are the most relevant for thinking about small business health over the next 3 to 6 months. One, where are they all? Where are all those workers, right? A lot of you are having trouble recruiting your own talent, and I know your clients are having trouble recruiting talent. And this is going to talk about that talent side, those key assets that are so important to your business, and also about what it costs to keep them. And the second one is how long can consumers hold out? This is about that revenue side because consumer spending makes up such a big portion of revenues for your clients. And so changes in spending for consumers are going to affect changes in revenues for your business clients. I'm going to give you the answer up front. Despite some increases in layoffs, the talent market is not going to relax anytime soon. It's going to keep tight. And it may get easier, but it will not get easy. So buckle up. And you can expect a slowdown in demand in the coming months, which means a slowdown in revenues for your business clients. So consumers are probably going to get tired of spending all of that money on more expensive things, and either rising interest rates or continued inflation are going to cause them to roll back their spending, and your clients are going to feel that in their revenue streams. And third, I'll say that there's a lot of pessimism out there. But there are also really strong parts of the economy across the board, and so there are reasons to be optimistic. Now is a time to be prudent and to plan, but it is not a time to panic. All right, let's start that first question. Many of you are having trouble recruiting new folks for yourselves, or your clients are having trouble recruiting new folks. Yes? No? Am I right? Yes, lots of head nods out there. You're in good company, pun intended. This is a very common experience for lots of businesses right now. And that is because, as my partner Luke alluded to, there are 4.2 million more open jobs than there were before the pandemic in January 2020. And there are 600,000 fewer workers to do those jobs. And many of you may recall that it was a labor or workers market even back in 2020 before the pandemic. It's very hard to get talent even then. A lot of these open jobs are in industries coming back from the pandemic shutdowns and that are roaring back to life with all that new demand. So that's tourism and retail and hospitality. And a lot of them are in industries that have just seen explosive growth since the pandemic, which includes transportation and logistics, getting all those Amazon packages right to the right doors. Healthcare and education, right, are also in there. You can see that for every industry, though, there are basically a lot more jobs than there are people with available experience and talent to do those jobs, and that is what is causing so much of that tightness. But you can also see that not every industry is affected. So professional services, education, leisure, and hospitality have these huge, huge mismatches, and that's where the need for people advisory is going to be particularly acute for your clients. All right, that mismatch means, as Luke said, that there are 2 open jobs for every unemployed person in this country, Greg's freeloader nephew notwithstanding. This number is the one you want to keep an eye on. It's your top line indicator for how tight the talent market is. And although every industry and every business is different, in the aggregate, your clients are not going to feel much of a difference in recruiting and holding on to talent until this number comes down by quite a bit. So keep your eye out here. There we go, sticky button here. Looking ahead, though, we are seeing some hiring slowdowns and layoffs by companies, some in some industries more than others. Slow hiring and layoffs can increase the number of talent candidates in your talent pool, so that may make it a little bit easier for some of your clients to find and hire people. But it is not going to get easy because that jobs per unemployed number is going to be quite for a while. So it might get a little bit easier, you might find some better candidates, but overall, don't take that foot off the pedal of getting the right talent in and also investing in retaining the people that you have. Can I get a little help back here, you guys? There we go, all right. Great, Liz, fantastic news. So what do we do about that? Right? First is double down on retention. You all already know that retention is way more valuable than acquisition. So if your clients or you have prioritized talent acquisition because your talent roster is full of holes and water is leaking into your boat and you are just trying, right, to stop the gaps, help your clients find the right balance between getting those new people in, but also really showing the people who are already with your clients the love that is going to keep them there. And then expand, and I don't mean expand by getting new employees. I mean that all of those ideal candidates that your clients or maybe you are waiting to come into your talent pool, they are not showing up. They already work for somebody else, they started their own business, or they are freelancers now and they're working for 10 companies instead of 1. So the traditional, beautiful, ideal candidate is going to become more and more rare. And so thinking about how to expand your talent pool through contractors or through freelancers or through international, that is going to be the task for you as people advisors to start helping your clients think about getting more creative about how to bring in that talent. There we go. Thank you. All right, everybody in the room knows that retention is much better than acquisition, right? I don't think I'm saying anything new. Better to retain than acquire. But how much really? Because retention is not free, after all. But it turns out that even a pretty simple exercise shows that retention is really valuable relative to cost. We did a survey earlier this year of HR professionals and business owners asking them about the value of talent to their company. And over 5 years, the typical worker's value to their company nearly doubles. It increases by 88%. If you think about a 5% compensation increase and a 3% retention spend every single year, that same employee's total compensation increases by nearly half that. Right? It's a 2-for-1 gain in value over cost by keeping your people instead of sort of being on that constant gerbil wheel of churn and attraction and churn and attraction. It's really valuable. Great. But retention isn't free, it costs money. And a lot of your clients, especially in this environment, are trying to think about ways to rein in their spending, right? Not to spend more money. And the key here is to focus on those benefits that add a lot more value to workers than they do to business costs. And 2 of the ones that we have been thinking about a lot at Gusto are retirement benefits and remote work and hybrid work opportunities. And that is because, according to research that we are about to publish at Gusto, simply offering retirement benefits can yield a 32% reduction in the 12-month risk of an employee quitting. It is a huge drop in the risk of quitting for a pretty trivial cost right at it. It's not even whether or not you contribute, it's whether or not you offer employees the opportunity to get 401k retirement benefits. But only 1 in 5 businesses on our platform currently offer retirement benefits. So there is also a huge opportunity to help your clients step to the front of the pack very easily by simply helping them set these up and get them running. And then remote work. Can we go back one? Yeah, thanks. And then remote work is another one that is free, actually, right, for many of your clients. Remote work, the same reduction, the same type of reduction. Remote work reduces 12-month attrition by 13%, and it's free, right? It costs nothing to implement this except a little more effort, right, checking in and figuring out how to work with people who are coming in remotely or in a hybrid environment. You'd have to pay nearly $12,000 more in annual income to get the same decrease in risk of attrition as offering remote work. There is real money value of offering these benefits that are very low cost and very high value. Just these 2 benefits, there are more, these are the ones we've been focusing on. Just these 2 benefits add a ton of value to workers, and they improve retention without ballooning companies' bottom line. So you can control costs and really see big gains in retention. And, bonus, both of these are differentiators from a talent attraction standpoint as well. So you can both hold on to the good people that you've got, and you can make yourself more competitive, and you can make your clients more competitive to the people that they are trying to attract. All right. We all know that remote work is helping workers find new employees in new places, but also I would encourage you all to help your clients think about new kinds of workers, right? Contractors are a huge source of talent that we have been studying on the Gustonomics team because they are accessible, they are skilled, and they are agile. In the last 5 years, businesses increased their use of contractors by 64%. And businesses are coming to rely more and more on contractors for the skills and the talent that they bring for jobs that they desperately need done but cannot find an employee to do, or things that they need done sometimes, like setting up a website, setting up an e-store, doing a marketing campaign, designing a new logo, et cetera, but do not have the time for and their employees do not have the skills for. Can we go back one? Thanks, y'all. All right, it's still a common view to think of contractors as extras in the workforce, right? But for so many businesses, they're already a core part of the workforce strategy. Nearly two-thirds of businesses that we surveyed last year said that it would be difficult or impossible to have a successful business today without access to contractors. So if your clients are not actively thinking about contractors in a strategic way, I would encourage you to have that conversation with them. Help them think through whether or not they really need an employee. What is the set of tasks that you need this employee to do? Can any of them be taken out of that job description and handed off to a contractor who's more available? Can any of them, right, be done on a different time zone with an international contractor, right, who's willing to do that work? Just encourage you to help them set up a more strategic view about how they incorporate contractors as part of their workforce. All right, so to recap this section, 1, help clients find those benefits that add more value than cost. We'll help them retain their spending, but also materially increase their value as employers and their attractiveness to potential candidates. And help them get strategic about new sources of talent beyond employees. Contractors are a big one here, but there are others. There are service firms, there are technology solutions, et cetera. All right, let's talk about revenues, spending, consumer spending, particularly. All right, consumer spending makes up 68% of gross domestic product, which is all the things that the US economy produces. Consumer spending is all of those dollars that households spend on everything. Cars, groceries, meals out, vacations. Even for those of you in the metaverse, those little digital costumes for your internet avatars. All that goes into consumer spending. So slowdowns in spending are a huge contributor to overall growth, but they're an even bigger impact on the health of your direct-to-consumer and storefront businesses because consumer spending is such a big part of their revenues. The great news is that consumer spending has been pretty robust in the last year in the face of inflation. Workers have been getting pay raises, which is really problematic for you and all your clients, but has been really good to support all that spending. And also during 2020 and 2021, households built up a ton of savings that they are now spending on all kinds of things, which is why we have had such a crazy demand-driven 2021. They've been spending it on travel, movies, dinners, new furniture, new digital costumes for their internet avatars. But the question now ahead is how much longer, right, can this hold out, especially as inflation persists? All right. So looking ahead, this is where we get a little bit of bad news. We are expecting some slowdowns in spending. That is because the savings rate has fallen for households, and those pay raises for most workers are not keeping up with the pace of inflation. So there's really not enough room in those household budgets right now to absorb more inflation or higher interest rates. And one of those things is going to happen, right? As the Fed raises interest rates or as inflation persists, those are going to continue to affect households with a limited ability to absorb that into their budgets. And they're going to roll back their spending and start thinking about ways that they can save. And that is going to affect the revenues for your business clients. The inflation rate is the key indicator for you to watch here from a leading indicator perspective. Seeing how high interest rates go, or how long they persist, or how high inflation goes. The higher both of those numbers go, the bigger the drop in spending that you can expect. The best case scenario is that we get a little bit of a bump in inflation or in interest rates, and inflation comes down nice and slow, and then that consumer spending stays nice and smooth. So we see these small decreases, but it's nothing to worry about. That's the outcome that we want, but keep an eye on inflation, because that's going to give you a leading indicator about how likely that is to happen. Okay. So what does that mean for businesses? I will say the first key takeaway here is don't panic. Very few people are expecting anything but a moderate decline in spending. For some of your clients, those declines may even bring a slowdown and a welcome reprieve from the surging labor and materials costs that a lot of your clients are facing right now. It could actually increase the overall financial health of the business, depending on how those expenditures and costs relate to themselves. Every business is going to be different, so every business is going to have a different challenge and a different opportunity in this environment. The way to figure out which is to go back to that people advisory house and use your understanding of your client's business, their business goals, to map out the highest value and highest potential things that are currently in the portfolio of things that they do. So, and then figure out where that demand softness is going to hit them hardest so that you can help them prepare. And the second one is pretty simple. Help clients find alternate sources of revenue. It's a good time to take stock of expenses, plan for those reductions in revenue. Something on the order of 5 to 15% year on year would be a really good place to start. And then start to assess the value that that spend is bringing to your client's business. By taking stock of those fundamentals, where the business is strong, what's driving the most value, you can help your clients map out a set of priorities for what to keep and what to cut by focusing on what's essential and what's not. All right. You can also help your clients by helping them take full advantage of the dollars that they are entitled to. Too many businesses do not receive all of the tax credits they're entitled to. The R&D tax credit is one that you've heard about, and it's a great example here. There's some research that suggests that small businesses may only be claiming 3% of the R&D tax credit in a given year. But y'all, small businesses do not produce 3% of the innovation in this economy. It's a lot higher than that, so there is money on the table for them to get. Now, helping businesses get access to small business administration loans, state and local credits, and even grants, depending on the type of business, can help diversify your clients' revenues and help pad any of that revenue weakness that we expect to see. All right. I did say there were 2 questions, but there's actually one more question. It's sort of the elephant in the room. There we go. Y'all, it's crazy out there. Why? Inflation is up, but people are still buying stuff. People are buying stuff, but the GDP is going down. GDP is going down, but there are no workers. Where are they? How do we make sense of this moment where cats and dogs are living together and lions are laying down with lambs? I'm going to talk about how how the Gustonomics team sees this. And I'm going to use an analogy with animals to talk about this, but I warn you, as I just previewed, there are snakes on the next 2 slides, so if that is something that will unsettle you, please take care of yourselves. Okay, this is how we might have thought about the economy in 2019, early 2020. Cute little animal, maybe you don't feel that way, but like it's the animal we all know, it's pretty simple, it's going to be the same day in, day out. This is how we might think about that same economy in 2022. Yeah, thanks. And shout out to the Gusto design team for giving me this beautiful cartoon. But something really big has happened, y'all. It's gonna take some time to work through. That snake is probably really uncomfortable right now. And it's probably not gonna be the same snake on the other side, right? This snake is an analogy for the economy processing all of those changes, right, that happened during the pandemic. We are out of the crisis portion, but the economy is still in a process of transformation. Collectively, we crammed 10 to 20 years of digital transformation into 2. We broke the relationship between work and office. We moved. Plans got canceled. People switched industries. Whole supply chains got shut down and then had to be restarted somewhere else. Right. So that whole process, why everything feels so nuts, right, is that process of transformation unfolding in real time. It's going to take a while to work through, and what it means in the meantime for your businesses is that things are uncertain, and they're going to get a little more volatile. And I'll end this thought by saying there's a lot of talk about a recession. Can't be an economist without talking about a recession these days. Will we have a recession? Won't we have a recession? How likely is that soft landing, whatever that soft landing is? Well, if I knew with certainty what the future held, I would make so much more money, y'all. I would not. I would definitely be doing something else, but nobody really exactly knows, and it's an uncertain time. But I will say that the economy, the fundamentals of the economy are strong in this period of transformation. So if we have a recession, we're not talking about like 2008 financial crisis, the sky is falling recession. We are talking about something mild to moderate that your businesses are definitely strong enough to get through with your help. And I will also say that given this context, it is not clear that a recession today would even mean what a recession 5 years ago might have meant, because we're in this crazy environment. Take entrepreneurship, for example. We had one of those dramatic economic shocks of a lifetime in 2020, and new business formation broke records in 2020, and then again in 2021. And that has not slowed down, which is all to say we should be prepared to be surprised in this environment. So what? So in that environment, the best you can do is to stay agile, monitor the situation, and help your clients prepare to pivot. No matter what you do, or where you are, or what industry you are in times of uncertainty, the best thing to do is plan, monitor conditions, and get ready to adapt. So setting out 2 to 3 scenarios with your clients that relate to their business goals and determining the decision points for action are going to create a roadmap to help them navigate this environment so that you can respond to changing conditions as they occur. And things can change quickly. Keep that in mind. So keeping track of real-time data is key to identifying those shifts when they happen. Over the coming quarters, my team on Gustonomics will be keeping a close eye on the economy and bringing that intelligence to you, as I set up at the top, which I'm very excited about. And you can bring those to your clients. And you can combine those with the people analytics tools that you have and other tools that you have access to really help bring that 10,000-foot view down to your businesses and help them think strategically through this time. So that combined with those plans, you'll be in a better position to help your clients navigate and know when it's time to act. All right, so to recap, 1, talent's gonna keep tight. Focus on that retention, find those benefits that add value, and think about additional sources of workforce that you can build into your strategy for your clients. 2, expect some moderate declines in revenue for many of your storefront and direct-to-consumer clients, and help them figure out how to focus on what's essential. Help them focus on the return on investment and focus on value, not cost. And then lastly, be kind to yourselves. It's still crazy out there, and we are about to go through this transformation together. Keep an eye on the data, make plans, and then be prepared to scrap those plans as we move forward. So as I said, we'll be rolling this out on a quarterly basis. I'm really looking forward to feedback from all of you. And so I hope that you now can have more confidence about the economy and go with gusto, y'all. Thank you.